Zoom, so let me do that. So good evening, everyone. My name is Lynne Williams, and I guide you to your keywords to beat the bots. That is my short and sweet elevator pitch, just like about 10 words. So what I do is I write resumes and LinkedIn profiles and pack them with keywords so that you can be found on LinkedIn, as well as make it through applicant tracking systems when you are applying online. I'm also the executive director of the Great Careers Group, and we are a meetup group that's been around since 2010. And basically all of our events are career focused. So because I make my living on resumes and LinkedIn profiles, I'm here tonight to do some LinkedIn profile reviews. So I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to do our first review, which is Michael Holt. Now, I'm going to ask, I have Michael Holt, and then I had Chris Chung. Their names were given to me ahead of time. So Chris, I'm going to ask you not to make any changes because the typewritten feedback that I have for you will not then be in sync with what I had reviewed before this meeting. And the same thing for Michael. Now, Michael, it looks like you changed your name. Maybe not. Let's see. Oh, no. Okay. Got it. All right. So here we go. We're going to start from the top. So right now, when I click on this contact info, you can see that he has made a custom URL of Michael-Joseph-Holt. However, he's not using Joseph on his LinkedIn profile. So maybe there were other Michael Holtz that existed on LinkedIn, but the fact of the matter is he did customize his LinkedIn URL, and he did take out all the little numbers and letters afterwards. So it only takes less than 30 seconds to do that. And I can, show you how a little bit later. Now, the next thing is that he has a banner, a custom banner that is something different from LinkedIn standard. So I'll give that a kudos. However, I'm going to ask him, is he a tennis pro? Okay, so this may be one of his personal interests, but this is not showing who he is and what he does in the data science world. So I'm going to pull up somebody else's profile that I did not do, but he is in data science, and I just want to show you the difference. So maybe you want to think about changing that profile up. Now, his profile picture is, it's okay. He's not smiling, he's not frowning, he's just, pretty sort of matter-of-factly. Maybe you do want to get a picture where you're smiling. And you see how there's little branches hanging out there on the left? There are all kinds of tools that are available to change the backgrounds, and I have links for that forthcoming also. His headline is very short and sweet. It is actually 51 characters with spaces, and he can have up to 220 characters. So he's actually missing out on opportunities to use keywords. More on that coming later. Next thing is that he is a third level connection to me. So if I were to go to the contact info section, I see his LinkedIn profile and I see his GitHub. I do not see a phone number and I do not see an email. So as a third level connection, it would be very difficult for me to reach out to him unless I actually connected to him on LinkedIn. And I have a paid account, so it's easy for me to message him. But for those of you who have a free account, you have 5 messages basically for free for the life of yourself on LinkedIn if you are not a first level connection to somebody. So anybody that's a second level, third level, or out of network connection, you cannot send them a message unless you are directly connected to them. So I'm going to show you where you can put your contact information to make it easy for people to reach out to you. Now, he is in Newark, Delaware. I happen to be a blue hen for my undergraduate degree, so yay for Newark, but that is not a major metropolitan area. You do not want to plug yourself in a tiny little hole of one city when you have a whole greater metropolitan area around you. So sorry, folks in Delaware and even Wilmington, you are actually part of the greater Philadelphia area. It's kind of like Princeton. Princeton either has to choose greater Philadelphia area or they have to choose greater New York metropolitan area. So you are limiting your reach by picking a city instead of a metro area. Now, another thing is he's got 230 connections. He can have 500, actually 501 is going to get him some action going with the algorithm. You got to have over 500 connections. So my suggestion is get out there and network and make networking a habit. You know, connect to people. You should put your LinkedIn URL in the chat and ask people to reach out and connect with you. Because if you don't have 500 connections, you know, this is a way of getting there where you can connect with people who are in these networking meetings. Now, I don't know if he's open to work or not. So he doesn't have that green scarf on that says hashtag open to work, but maybe he has it open to recruiters and he has the open to work on privately. I don't know because I'm not in the back end of his profile. Now, his about section, when I look at this, there are 5 sentences starting with the word I. So when people come to the profile, it's all about the pain points and problems you can solve and what you can do for them. But you do want to put your own personality and either first person implied I or first person I in the storytelling part. But I would not start sentences with the word I. That's just me. I am a Pennsylvania Department of Education certified teacher 9 times over, and I am certified in high school English, and I'm working on writing my doctoral dissertation. So it's just me, and it's my preference. And I would be the teacher with the red pen, circling all the sentences that start with I. Maybe think about putting presently, comma I, currently, comma I, just something so it's not starting with I. So the focus is not just on you, but the value that you bring, what's your value proposition, your unique selling point, etc. The next thing is the in the about section, you can have 2,600 characters. So I did actually not count that, but you know, that's way short compared to what could be. And I think there's some missed opportunities here. And when I pull up somebody else's profile who's in data science that I admire, I mean, I could tweak his a little bit, but I do admire it. I think you'll get the gist of what I'm talking about. Next thing is when we go down to the experience section, this first job, I'm sure that there is a company page on LinkedIn that exists. It may not be the Office of Unclaimed Property, but it might be Delaware Department of Finance or, you know, Delaware government or something. And then, you know, you could detail out specifically which department you work for underneath. But you want to try to find the logo of a company or an educational institution as long as they have a LinkedIn company page. Now, he says he's a pizza maker in the past, but this particular little pizza shop may not have a LinkedIn company page. Understandable. But, you know, if they did, you know, then you would want to put the logo on. Otherwise, you're going to get these gray buildings. All right. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is Oxford commas. I guess because I write APA style, you know, it's apples, comma, bananas, comma, and oranges. So I always tend to put that second comma in before the word and, but he doesn't have any sort of sophisticated sentences that have that structure in that I could find on his profile. So I'm not finding any Oxford commas. But that's just me. Now, if there's a marketing person, they're going to write more AP style and they're not going to use an Oxford comma. So the bottom line is, if you are writing one style or another, make sure that you are consistent throughout your LinkedIn profile as well as on your resume. Now, we've got bullet points here. Now, he's only got a couple bullet points, and I really like the fact that he's got the words starting with verbs. That's exactly what should happen here. Bullet point, and this was copied over from Word and not from Google Docs, because when you take a bullet point copied over from Google Docs, it like totally blows up and it's just, you know, in your face, big black circle. So I like that he copied and pasted this from a Word document. And so these verbs will all be in the past tense for any past jobs, and they'll be either past and present tense for any present jobs. But you don't need periods at the end of the bullet points because they're not sentences, they're bullet points. And I like to put white space in between. So it's bullet point, white space, bullet point, white space. The reason being is it's easy for the human eye to skim and scan, but it's still there for the bots to read. And I think, you know, with humans having apparently a 7-second attention span and goldfish having an 8-second attention span, you know, we need to be able to skim and scan because we are receiving torrents of information every single day. And this is exactly what we do, is we skim and scan. So going back to that about section, you've got, you know, some paragraphs here, and it's short and sweet for the most part, but, you know, some of this might be able to be broken down a little bit more. I don't know, I don't mind having like a bio type paragraph in the beginning, but after that, I really think if you could break it up into sections and make it more bullet pointy rather than paragraphy, you'll be doing yourself a favor because people will skim and scan to get a handle on you. Okay, now another thing I don't see on the LinkedIn profile is Unicode. So I'm going to give that a bravo because Unicode is not readable by LinkedIn. Yes, you can get bold, underlined, italicized words, but it is not in LinkedIn's database. So, you know, it's better used in posts than it is on a LinkedIn profile. Now, I really like that he has something in the featured section. Sadly, this one was put up 10 months ago. This one was put up a year ago. So the content is not fresh. I refresh my content in my featured section weekly. So you need to be active on LinkedIn. If I look at his activity, okay, I'm going to show all activity. And it's going to show me that 6 days ago, he liked this and he celebrated this. And 3 weeks ago, he liked this. Likes don't help people too terribly much with engagement. If you're going to participate on somebody's profile, you can like it, but I do that a lot, and I try very hard to go back and make a comment after. If I like something, I try to go back and find time to make a comment of 5 words or more. I don't always have time. I run 2 businesses, and I'm working on my doctoral dissertation, and I have my grandson at least once a week. So, you know, I have the bandwidth limitations, and I can't always go back and do that. But if you can, you know, engage on other people's content with 5 words or more in the comment, you don't want to say nice read, interesting article, you know, you want to engage, like give some really, you know, good feedback of some sort. And that will help them, but it may also help you. Now, if I click on his articles, he has not written any articles. If I click on his posts show me that the last post he did was 10 months ago. If you don't give out on the platform, you're not going to get. You got to give to get. So you will reap what you sow. You've got to have engagement on LinkedIn. It is a social media platform, so you need to be social. If I look at his documents, he doesn't have any of those either. All right, so now I'm going to go back to his profile, except it's going to take it to mine. So while I'm on mine, I want to show you what I mean on one thing.
Hi, Lynn. Do you have a minute for a quick question?
Sure.
What can you you know, explain why the 500 connections is so important again? Is it better to have
I
like
sure will.
fewer connections that you really know versus like 500 connections where you don't know many of the people? You know what I'm
No,
saying? Okay.
it's the algorithm. You need to have 500 connections. They may not be the best connections in the world to you, but
Okay.
go for the 500. And then if you want to be more selective, you know, I've got over 15,000. Do I know all those people? Heck no. They're not my
Okay.
BFFs. So, but you know, the algorithm will work in your favor if you do have over 500. So it's very simple. All you have to do is go to Google, and you're going to ask, why do I need 500 connections on LinkedIn? Okay, and what you're going to find is 435 million results.
Okay.
Does that speak to you?
Yeah. All
Is
right.
that enough?
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can go read these things, you know, to Kingdom Come, and you're going to see why you need to have 500 connections. It's just one of those things that is well known on LinkedIn, at least for people who do train LinkedIn.
Okay.
So I have connected with people in the greater Philadelphia area because this is where I am. But I've connected with people around the world. Do I connect with everybody? No. If somebody from, I don't know, Laos, you know, said, hey, you know, you want to connect? And by the way, I have only 8 connections. I'm going to sit there and say, why? You know, are you a fake profile? You know, and a lot of times I'll just tell people, in other countries, if they have very small quantities of connections, you know, why don't you follow me for now, and maybe join the Great Careers Group and participate in some meetings. And once we get to know you, I can add you to my LinkedIn connections. We can add you to the LinkedIn group. So just follow our company page for now, and that way we'll get to know you first, because I can't tell if they're, you know, real or fake profiles, but I do give people the benefit of the doubt. You know, sometimes if they're in greater Philadelphia, and if they have some meat on the bones on their profile, or if they've been referred to me, you know, sometimes they might only have 3 connections, and you have to have 30 connections to be anybody on LinkedIn. Like LinkedIn won't even acknowledge you too much until you have 30. So after 30, your next goal is 500.
Okay. All right.
All right. So I want to take you down to my about section. And, you know, I have my few little paragraph things. Now this was all one paragraph, you know, but I broke it down into the, you know, paragraph, white space, paragraph, white space. Now, I did put one sentence that started with an I, because I wanted that one to stand out. You know, I love what I do. Like, what sets your hair on fire? Why do you love doing what you do? Okay, so if you can explain that, you know, maybe brings a little human element to you. But I wouldn't go with more than, you know, one, maybe two sentences that start with I, but it's okay to use I. You want to write in first person or first person implied, but just, you know, change up the first word. Now, it's very much easier to read bullet points than it is paragraphs. So here's my information about my nonprofit. Yeah, I know it's not hyperlinked here, but it may be on the phone. So LinkedIn's working on making hyperlinks in the about section. You know, what I'm looking for, fun fact, what I do, core competencies. I know this is a big old long list of skills and keywords, but they're all in alphabetical order. And it's something that humans can consume. And if I was looking for a job, and as a I don't know, a career coach, you know, at a university, somebody could say, oh, career education, great. Public speaker, oh, that means she can do training. Team builder, okay, great, we can put her in a team. Trainer, okay, good. You know, LinkedIn profiles, oh yeah, that's exactly what we need. So what they're doing is non-linear reading, and their eyes are kind of darting all over the page, but they're going to say, these are the must-haves this person must have coming to a job. Oh, and they also have this and this and this and this. Now, this list is actually kind of old, and I have not run myself through some of these words. And I probably should do that once upon a time. But I'm not looking for a job right now, so it's okay by me, you know, what I have here. But here's what I'd like to see you do is I would like your contact and connect. So here's the Great Careers website, that's the nonprofit. Here's my phone number. Here's book a call with me. Here's my address for my for-profit business, for my nonprofit. I'm also the president of chempharma.net. I got elected for that last year. And so we have, you know, chemical engineering and pharmaceutical company people and guests come to those events. Here's my handle, you know, for the nonprofit, as well as the hashtag. And then, you know, we have, because we're a nonprofit, you know, we do have job seekers that could use some sponsorships. So we have kind people that do sponsor. So this is much easier to read when it is bullet pointy. So I'm going to pull up this one guy who's a data scientist. He's out in California. And, you know, if you are interested in having him speak, it's a 3-hour time difference. I don't know if he would do that, but I just want to show you his profile, and then I'll go back to your profile. Now, he's got an emoji after his name. LinkedIn actually does not allow that, apparently. So it's a database. So your first name needs to go in the first name field. The last name needs to go in the last name field. So at least he has the emoji after his last name, but I don't think, again, LinkedIn likes that. Now, I am not a fan of putting emojis in the beginning of the headline, and he doesn't have 220 characters, okay? And he's not using all keywords, but, you know, he's just landed a new job. He's making a couple hundred bills a year, and, you know, he can do whatever he wants kind of on LinkedIn at this point in time. But do you see his banner? You know, it's got his name. It's got what he does. It's got a little bit more information about him, and it's got all these little emojis of, you know, his cool platforms that he deals with. And then he puts in the companies that he's worked for. Now, let me go down to his about section, because his about section is kind of cool. So here you can see he did use Unicode. It's bold, mission and vision, what I do, tech stack. Now, the tech stack, he's got business intelligence, data engineering, digital marketing, and general competencies. So me being me, I am the logic lady. I used to teach math. And so I like things in alphabetical order. So I would first put the categories in alphabetical order, and then I would put the software behind it in alphabetical order, just to make it easy for people, to follow along. And if I had big old long lists of this in the LinkedIn profile, it would not work. It works for me with my list because I'm not doing all these different tech stacks. But, take note of this profile because I think it's actually kind of cool. But if you are a job seeker, I would not use Unicode and make this bold. I would just type business intelligence all in caps. Now, see, he's using emojis for a little pop of color. I think that's nice. That works, but you don't want to go overload with too many emojis. And based upon the research that I've done on the applicant tracking system, if you are a job seeker, I think you're better off using bullet points from Word rather than little arrow things or something like that. But this is his choice. He's got a job. He was working at PlayStation when I first met him, and now he's at Activision since February. So anyway, I just wanted to show you that profile and give you, an idea of somebody in data analytics. Now, this guy used to, do you have a question?
Yeah, Lynn, I have a quick question before moving on to this, right?
Sure.
So when you were showing, in his listing that we see, where you mentioned it would be good to put in alphabetical order, right? The other advice I have always received, and which is how I usually track when I get resumes too, when I'm reading resumes, is top to bottom, left to right when we go, right? I look at it as that is your most, what shall I say, your most place where you have your most confidence or the most knowledge. So like here, I would say that this person is more of a data visualization person. That is the first thing. And he is super good in Tableau. Okay. But if going down, then I'm seeing project. He also does project management. But so like what is my most important one that I feel is my strength is what I would put on top and put it to the, if it's on a left to right listing, the left I would put. What are your thoughts on that?
You can do whatever you want to do. I would not do that. And if you were my client, I would not do that. I would put it in alphabetical order. So if you want data visualization as the first thing in your headline, yeah, that should be in order. But down here, I think you need to make it easy for the human eye to skim and scan. And if they get a handle on, that it's alphabetical, they will process it as such. I go for logic, and if you start putting things in the order that you think are important to you, it makes it harder for the person to process that information. But, that's me, that's my opinion, and I'm sticking with it. Other people may have their own opinion, and that's okay too. You ask a resume writer or a LinkedIn profile writer how to do something, you ask 10 people, you're going to get 15 or 20 different answers. So there's no one right way or wrong way. It's whatever makes you happy. If that's what makes you happy, then do it. But I'm about the logic and the alphabetical order for ease of quick review.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, good to hear different thoughts on it. Thank you.
Okay. All right, I've got, I wanted to tell you that he was running a data science and analytics room on Clubhouse oh my gosh, he's not doing it anymore because he's so busy on his job, but he would have 300 to 900 people in his room. It's like having a meeting, but on Clubhouse. And we would do live LinkedIn profile reviews in his rooms. So there are still some really big people on Clubhouse running rooms for job seekers and data analytics and whatnot. So, you know, I definitely tap into Clubhouse. It's been up over a year. There's millions of people worldwide on the platform. And, you know, social audio is a thing. There's LinkedIn audio now, there's Spotify, there's Twitter spaces and whatnot. But I like Clubhouse. I run a Clubhouse room every Friday. All right. Now I'm going to go back. Hang on 1 second. That was Michael Holtz. I'll go back to him. Uh-oh. Now look at this. See how I'm having a hard time finding Michael? There's a lot of Michael Holtz, so hang tight. I gotta copy and paste this from another thing. All right, it's coming up. Now, another thing I want to point out is when I pull up his profile, I'm going to look over to the right and it's going to say people also viewed. It's going to be over here in just a hot minute when it populates. Got a little bandwidth taken with Zoom. Okay, so people also viewed. You need to go back and change that so that potential people who are looking at you for a job, they're not looking at your competitors. So you want to change it so it's people you may know. And you know, look at this, data analytics, data scientists. You don't want people looking at your competitors. So you got to flip that on your particular profile. Let's see, we already talked about logos. And okay, if I go down here and I'm looking for recommendations, I don't see any recommendations. You may get all kinds of skills and endorsements, you know, checked. People are endorsing you for a different skill, but you know, that's kind of superficial. It's important, but it's still superficial compared to recommendations. You always want to get recommendations from people so that people are vouching for you. It's public. Sometimes recruiters, you know, put these numbers in their head. Oh, you need a minimum of 3, or you need a minimum of 4 or 6 or something like that. So you would want to make sure that you work on getting recommendations. Now, I can't see his public profile settings because I'm not in the back end of his profile, so I can't make any comments about that. And he doesn't have any media, you know, underneath any of his experience. So he could put a deck or a URL or, you know, something, a Word document, Google Sheet that maybe has a whole bunch of tech skills on it and whatnot. And I don't see that he's volunteering. Sometimes companies look to see who you're volunteering for. You know, do you have a heart? Are you commission or community focused? Are you helping other people? So, you know, certain companies, they do want to see that. So if you are volunteering, you definitely want to put that in. Now, let's go down to his skills. Right now, he has 27 skills. He's got missed opportunities. you can have 50 skills. So you want to have 50 skills. And he's highlighting Office, Excel, and Word. I don't know that that's what he wants to highlight. Now, if you did Microsoft Office, that takes care of Excel and Word. But, you know, however, in data science, you might want to can the Word and keep the Excel. But, you know, I don't know that you want to highlight that. I see in his headline Python and SQL. So maybe, you know, Python and SQL are what needs to go up here at the top. So you can actually move your skills around by pinning and unpinning. Now, if I go down to his companies, he's following 21 companies. I don't know if these are his target companies or not. When I click here for groups, he is following only 3 groups. That's not a whole bunch. And you can have 100 groups, and then Brain Station is the school that he's following. And he should be also following Juniata College, since that's where he got his bachelor's degree. So that's kind of it in a nutshell for Michael. So Michael, was this helpful? Do you have any questions that I can answer before I go to Chris?
Yeah, this was very helpful.
Okay.
I don't have any questions, but I'm looking forward to implementing a lot of that. There are many aspects of like voice and culture and things I can do on the profile page that I had no idea were possible. So thank you for that.
All right. Sounds good. So every 3rd Saturday of the month, I teach a LinkedIn workshop through the Chester County Library in Exton, and it is on Zoom. So you get over 3 months, you get 9 hours with a free LinkedIn training through the ccls.org. And I'll put a link in for that later, but I also teach LinkedIn other places. So I'm teaching next Tuesday, and I forgot to put it on my website because I didn't realize I was teaching it. But I've taught LinkedIn 4 times this week so far. So I do teach LinkedIn a lot. There's a lot of opportunities. Okay, so now I'm going to go to Chris. Okay, so for Chris, I got my little note sheet here. If I go and look at his URL, which is either up at the top here, or I can go to his contact info section and I can see C Chung 106. Now, there may be more Chris Chungs than and somebody might have beat him to getting the URL Chris Chung or Chris-Chung. I don't know what the 106 stands for, but Chris Chung is better than C Chung. People look for people by typing first names and last names. So if somebody has a business and they want to put their branded business name in, this is not the place to do it. LinkedIn is a database. First name goes in the first name field, last name goes in the last name field. So you want to be able to be found by your first name and last name. So hopefully you can maybe tweak that, putting in a middle initial, middle name, maybe, you know, data after your name. I don't know, something. Now, I like the banner. It's cute. Connect the dots. I get it. But, you know, you could have your name on there and you could put, you know, what it is that you do. But, you know, I think it's very clever. I wish my pencils were that sharp. Now, he's got a very nice picture. He's smiling, but you got a building and shutters and windows in the background. So again, I'm going to show you how you can change that background. Now he's got his open to work banner. So if I go down here to his open to work, he's making it public. Right now he's missing an opportunity. He's got data analyst and data scientist. You can have 5 job titles. So you want to expand on that in some way, shape, or form so that you can maximize and get your 5. but it shows he's looking to work on-site, hybrid, remote, Philadelphia, or remote, and he's immediately actively applying full-time. Okay. So now he's got Philadelphia. Again, you're plugging yourself in a little hole in a city called Philadelphia when you need to be putting it in the whole greater Philadelphia area. So you want to expand your reach with your posts and whatnot. So you need to change that location. All right. His headline is 54 out of 220 characters, and that is with spaces. So missing out on opportunities for more words. Now, if you go to moz.com, and if maybe you've heard that Google indexes the first 60-ish characters, and it depends on the pixel width of the character. So you have an I, which is thin, and then an N is 1 hump, and then an M is 2 humps. So it's the M is twice as wide as the N. So that's why I can't say exactly, 60, 62, 64. So it's approximately 60-ish characters. And when your headline travels around on different devices, such as desktop, phone and iPad or whatnot, it may look differently. So you definitely want to make sure that you are front loading with the couple titles that you want and all the keywords that relate to you. So you would want to take advantage of it and expand that opportunity to more keywords in your headline. Now, he's a second level connection to me. If I were to go to contact info, I see his profile and I see his Gmail. I don't see a phone number. Now, so he's fixed some settings, so at least I see his email. So again, he could go down to the bottom of the about section and he could put his contact info down at the bottom so that people who are not connected to him can easily reach out. Now, some women in the audience may say, oh, Lynn, why do you put your phone number, so readily available? Well, I only have one phone number. And a couple years ago in the Philadelphia Inquirer on Sunday in the career section, my phone number was published in an article, and I did get 4 phone calls, but I only got 4 phone calls. And so then I changed my personal cell phone number to a Google phone number for the Great Careers Group. So here's the Great Careers Group. And if I go to the contact info section, you're going to see here's this 484 number. That is a Google phone number, and that gets forwarded to my cell phone. So publicly here on the nonprofit website, I do have it forwarded, but on my LinkedIn profile, I just use my personal cell phone number. But that's my choice. I do not put an address on. Nobody should put any addresses on their resumes that go out publicly. You should not put a address on your LinkedIn profile. Anybody can go on Zillow.com and find out what kind of hood you live in. Are you in a $200,000 hood, a $900,000 hood, something in between? You're in an apartment building. You don't want to put your address down. Only when you're applying to a company. So you don't need the zip code either. You can just put Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, on your resume. But on LinkedIn, you want greater Philadelphia area. Okay. Talked about the metro area. Okay, he has 257 connections out of 500. Got to get busy doing some networking. Now his about section, my eyes glaze over. Okay, I'm a writer. I write every Friday. It gets published in 4 magazines online in the area. and it goes out to 100,000 subscribers. So yeah, I understand the writing thing, but I look at so many LinkedIn profiles and I want to see the short and sweet version. I want to skim and scan, and it's more the keywords. So there's 5 areas in LinkedIn where you want to put keywords. Number 1 for sure, Manhattan real estate is golden right here, is your headline. That's number 1 for keywords. Number 2 for keywords is your about section. Number 3 for keywords is your job title. You want to embellish your job titles up to 100 characters. So data science fellow, maybe not that one. Let's see. Maybe. Okay. Space pipe space, demographics, space type space, research, space pipe space, Python, space pipe space, linear regression, space pipe space, something like that. Like all the words that you embellish in your job title, you want to have the real title first, and then all the keywords after that will help you in your future forward. So you don't want to, like we had pizza maker. Well, you know, maybe customer service, you know, that might be a transferable skill and an important aspect, you know, a scheduling, you know, meeting deadlines or something like that. So those are transferable skills. But if we don't want to make pizza in the future, if we want to do Python and SQL, then, you know, maybe for that pizza shop, maybe you did some data analysis for the pizza shop. I don't know. Get creative there. If you do have a volunteer role or, you know, some other role other than a work role, get those words in that are going to help you in your future forward. But I would somehow or another break this down in some way, shape, or form. I don't know. I just figure out how to present it in a short and sweet, bullet pointy kind of way. Now, if I go to look at his experience, all these bullet points, they all smash together and they're all very paragraphy. So I like he's got used, generated, trained, explored, selected. Very nice, starting with the verbs, but they're not sentences. You don't need periods at the end, and it would really help readability for the human eye to have that white space in between. And I also give him a bravo, and I was looking throughout here and I am seeing Oxford commas, so I can tell that Chris, you know, is a teacher and has definitely been writing in APA style. I don't see any Unicode on his LinkedIn profile. And if I look at his featured section, do you see a featured section? I don't see a featured section. So another missed opportunity, you know, but the thing is, look, he's got some media or no, he's got media under here, his capstone project. So I love that you put that there, Chris. Those visuals are always great. So if you have any more that you can add to any of these things, that would be super. But, you know, maybe those capstone projects might be something you want to put in the featured section. And when you make a post, there's 3 little dots at the top right. If you click on those 3 little dots and say set to featured section, it'll pop right up there. Now, if I go to his activity, show all activity, let's go here. So right now, an hour ago, okay, he liked that. And here, 59 minutes ago, he made some commentary. And then 3 days ago, he liked the Ed Tech job fair stuff, because I know that I was celebrating that myself. And then 3 days ago, so it looks like Chris is active, but we need more commentary than likes. If I go to articles, nothing. If I go to documents, nothing. If I go to posts, 59 minutes ago, 1 month ago. Ooh, so this is not, you know, frequent posting. if you spent 5 to 10 minutes a day on LinkedIn, you could really, catapult yourself, make connections with people, comment on people's posts, especially if they work for the target company of who you want to work for. Engagement is extremely important. So I'm going to go back. And if I look at all his experience section, he's got all these logos here for everybody that he's worked for. So that's great. He's got it for his education. If I go down to his skills section, he's missing out. He's got 21 skills out of 50. So, you want to actually have 50 skills or something close to it. But look at this. He's got Python, SQL, and Tableau highlighted at the top. So you can see I'm a second level connection to him. So if I was a first level connection to him, I could like put him on the map and give it a like and a thumbs up, whatever you want to call it, to put him on the map that he's got, a recommendation or endorsement on those skills. So if I were to look at the rest of his 21 skills, now, supervised learning, that might be part of his teaching life, but that may not be, part of his future forward, so to speak. I don't know what pandas is. Sorry, I don't know if that's like a data science type term. Maybe it is. But all the rest of these, they look, like very specific things. Mathematics education, if that's what he does now. That's great. Lesson planning. Okay, well, if you're a teacher, we know you have to do lesson planning. Maybe take that word out to do to put in a better word that will help in another way. If I go down to his companies, he's following 45 companies. I don't know if those are target companies. If I go to his groups, he's only got 5 groups. He could definitely add more groups. He also has people also viewed, so he wants to change that in his settings and profile settings. And let's see, I don't see any recommendations, but I like that he's got his honors and awards listed here. That's a really nice thing to put in. I bet you dimes to donuts. As a teacher, you get involved in volunteering all kinds of ways, shapes, and forms. So I would put the volunteering in there if you've got that. And so that's my review there. Now, going to the profile settings where you can change some of these things, you've got this little round mini me here. So right down here, settings and privacy. If you only have one email, please add another one for safety and security. People have been hacked in LinkedIn, and if you don't have the 2-factor authentication set up, it will make it much easier if you have more than one email on your profile. So you're going to see email addresses. I have 3. So I have dealt with all kinds of problems for clients who got locked out of LinkedIn, had their profiles hacked and whatnot. So it's kind of a nightmare. So definitely put more than one address in. Now, where you're signed in, right now, this shows that I have 9 active sessions, but when I was out teaching at different libraries, one time the library, they didn't give me a plug for the laptop, and it died before I got a chance to sign off my LinkedIn profile. So the next person that went into LinkedIn on that computer, they could have gotten into my account. So I had to sign out. Here's, if I see all, you're going to see, I have 2 months ago. So you just have to click and sign out, and you're going to put your password in so that you end that particular session. So I normally sign out, anything that is a month or 2 or older, on a regular basis. But here, you know, that 1 day, 2 days ago, etc. But I teach LinkedIn all the time, so I kind of keep my months in there so I could do this live demo. Let's see. What else did I want to show you? Oh, let's talk about keywords. But before I go into that, do we have any questions so far? Chris, was that helpful? Do you have any questions about anything that I said?
No, that was great. Thank you so much for that feedback. I appreciate it.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about keywords. So I'm going to go to the Jobs tab. And can you tell me what time I'm going to go till before you're going to start networking, just so I can gauge myself?
We can go.
then-
Sorry, Ramon, go ahead.
I think you just go ahead till as much as you want. Our session ends at 8. If you finish before 7:30, we'll have a networking session. Otherwise, your information you're providing, I think, is very helpful. So please
Okay.
go ahead and take the time. So
Okay.
we can keep
All right.
that as an optional one, as a networking.
All right, I will, I'll keep on going. Okay, this Jobs tab is very important to you. So I saw, you know, on some profiles here, project management and whatnot. So if you happen to be a project manager, I'm going to add in the search bar up at the top left. I'm going to tab over. Now I want to search not Philadelphia, I want greater Philadelphia. And what this is showing me there are 20,556 jobs for project manager. No, 20,572 project manager in the greater Philadelphia area. Now, if I were to change that to project management, okay, here we go with the data, folks. I love data, and this is how I work with clients. I want them to look up the keywords and assign a number to it based upon looking up here and make a spreadsheet. Project management has 49,841, unless it changes and updates live. It's staying up there, 895. So it really does make a difference. When you think about keywords, you want to think about the synonyms of the keywords so that you're getting all variations. Let's talk about the word team, okay? Team building or teams are very important. So what are variations on the word team? You got cross-functional teams, team player, team builder, team building, team developer, team development, team leader, team leadership, team manager, team management, and I could go on. I'm sure there's other versions of team, but I just gave you 10 versions of team. Now, if you could only use team one time on your profile, which word would it be? And what's the one that is most appropriate to you? You know, if you are the manager of a team, you know, you might want to do more, you know, team developer, team builder, team leader, team manager. But if you're not in management and you want to say you're a team player, then, you know, you might need to do that. But you can see very clearly that this project management is far better to use than project manager. Now, let's just go to Google Trends. Okay, let's look at some more data here. So Google Trends is trends.google.com. And I want to just check out, how does Google mirror or not with LinkedIn? So we're going to type in project manager. And we're going to see how many times that's looked up versus project management. So you saw on LinkedIn that project management was used more than project manager. All right, well, here's my bar chart. Here's my line chart. And very clearly in the United States in the past 12 months, project management is the winner, just like on LinkedIn. But let's get this a little bit more down to our area. Let's go Philadelphia. Now, in the case of Michael, Michael's in Delaware. So he would want to look up the Delaware side of Philadelphia. If somebody's in Cherry Hill, they'd want to look up the New Jersey side of Philadelphia. But in this case, I'm going to do the PA side of Philadelphia. So I want to see what's going on in our area. Now, it's been a pretty weird past 12 months, actually pretty weird past couple years. So let's just look at the past 90 days and see what's happening with these two. Well, very clearly, you can still see the bar chart in red, and the line chart still shows project management on top. So I feel very comfortable and confident in pretty much everything I've looked up over the years between LinkedIn and Google Trends. I find that they mirror each other. Now, it really takes a lot of time going into these, creating these spreadsheets. And what I do is I'll look up, keywords and have a client do a brain dump of keywords and quantify them. Then in another two columns, we look up the words that are on the LinkedIn profile. So for example, Michael would look up, all 27 skills, and he's going to decide, English, does he really need English? I think that's a wasted word. Windows, another, Outlook, no. So if you don't know LinkedIn, sometimes you click on some stuff and these things pop in automatically, but you have to control yourself to clean this up and to reorder it and to take out and delete words and put in new words. Now, Photoshop, if he's got that skill, that's cool. Editing, okay, I don't know, you got Panda software. Is it Pandas or Panda software? So let's just look that up and see what happens with LinkedIn's database. Pandas. And did you see how Pandas Python came up underneath? So right now for Pandas, it comes 630. If I click on Pandas Python, because that's what's suggested, that's 572. And what did Michael have? Pandas software. So let's go type in software. This is exactly what Michael had. And click search. That is 331. So maybe Michael would like to revisit this and maybe, not have the software in parentheses, because we want to go with what's in LinkedIn's database and what's going to give us the biggest hit. So if I were to do data science, and look at this, data science manager, intern, specialist, jobs, okay? Let's just go data science. That's 16,994. And let's check out data scientist. And that is 7360. So, I got to spell it right. I didn't do that. Cyan. That'll make a difference. Sorry about that. 11,893 versus data science is 16,000. So if you want to be found, okay, you need to, put in the words that are going to work for you. So let me recap where you need to put in keywords, because if you are a data scientist, you're still in data science, right? So you've got to get both forms of those words in, because that is where you want to go for a job. Headline is Manhattan real estate. That is the most important one. So that's where you want the big hits. Job titles, embellished, the about section, the skill section, and number 5 is if you've got projects and publications. Now, I'm going to take you to a client profile, and I'm going to tell you a little story about him. He's working. He hasn't done career management for a while, so we figured it was time to clean up resume, profile, and whatnot. Oops, I clicked on mine. One night we were working on this spreadsheet with keywords, and we had only time to come up with his headline and one embellished job title. Hadn't done a resume, hadn't done LinkedIn, nothing. So the story goes as follows. In 3 days, he was found by a recruiter and got a phone call because we changed his headline and his embellished job title. So here are the 220-ish characters of all keywords. They're not touching each other. It's space, pipe, space. You would find them as if you would find them in a dictionary. The recruiter was looking for co-location, and the recruiter, here's co-location here, was looking for the word latency, and he popped up. So when recruiters have, it says my internet connection is unstable. When recruiters have the recruiter platform for LinkedIn, they can target by keyword, by person, by location. They can put in, you know, they wanted co-location and latency. So they can put in a bunch of keywords looking for somebody very specific with a specific skill set. But if they don't have the recruiter or the recruiter light platform, maybe they're a small recruiter. Anybody, including recruiters, even you can go on LinkedIn. Here's our search bar. And you can do a Boolean search on LinkedIn or in Google. So Boolean is not, you know, specific to LinkedIn. You know, it's for research on the internet. There really was a dude by the name of Boolean. So here, this article is how to construct a Boolean search for LinkedIn in Google. And then here is how to do a Boolean search on LinkedIn. So if you read these articles, this will give you step-by-step instructions, but let me just do a quick one here. So I'm going to start from scratch. And if I have one word, I don't have to put it in quotes. But if I have 2 or more words and I want to glom those words together, I want to put them in quotes. So if you remember, you know, your algebra, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, you have the order of operations. So Boolean is the same thing where you have an order of operations, and it's capital and, capital or, and capital not. So if I wanted to find somebody that was a quote data science end quote and Python and Philadelphia. Oops, I'm gonna spell that right. Okay. So I just put my search parameters in, and now I want to find people. So here's second level connection people that are coming up. Let me see if I've got any first level connections so I can use this to search. Okay, I don't have any first level connections, but I do have second level connections in Philadelphia. So how do you network your way to your next job as a job search strategy? Okay, here's Liz, data science associate in Malvern. She knows Terry, Bruce, and one other connection. Here we got Corey, knows Todd, Tim, 4 other connections. All right, Rajat, you know, etc. So the idea is that if you build your LinkedIn profile to lots and lots of connections, you never know who knows who knows who knows who. So if I wanted to get to, okay, let me say I wanted to get to Kimberly. see, she knows Bill McCann, Mitch Goldfarb, and 7 other connections. So let's just go and look and see who these connections are. She knows Chris and Craig and Bill and Jesse and Eric and Mitch and Jill and Joseph. I know Bill McCann pretty well. He was a recruiter. So he's got 34.1K followers. Hey, Bill, I see you're connected to, what's her name? I forget her name. Liz McLaughlin, no, or Kimberly Jackson. Could you make an introduction to me, to her? I see that her company, which is what? Oh, Vanguard, has a position open for such and such. And, you know, I've heard that people at Vanguard get employee referrals. So people, you know, if you stay at the job 6 months or longer, you know, I don't know what Vanguard's deal is, but she might get an employee referral for you know, connecting me. So here, Bill, hey, Bill, or hey, Kimberly, this is Bill. I would like to introduce you to my friend, Lynn. She would love to know if you would be available and open to having an informational interview. Saw that you are in data, a data analyst at Vanguard, and saw some jobs available. Would you be willing to talk to her about the culture at Vanguard? Not asking for a job, only asking for information. Oh, sure, Lynn, I'd love to connect with you, knowing that I get an employee referral bonus, right? So yeah, let's set up a meeting. So, okay, so Kimberly and I meet and say, yeah, can you tell me a little bit more about the culture at Vanguard? And, you know, what are the work hours? Are you working hybrid or working remote? You know, are you working in person? Tell me more. And you work on building a relationship and let her talk twice as much as you, okay? Because people like to talk, as you can see from me, I like to talk. So when you've built that know, like, and trust, she might say, hey, could you send me your resume and let me, you know, get that to the hiring manager for that department? I think you might be a good fit, right? So that way you get the red carpet rolled out in front of you. You've networked your way to your next job, and it's because you've built these LinkedIn connections. Very key job search strategy. Who's got questions before I go on to something else?
Lynn, can I ask a quick question?
Yep.
When you did the search and you put data science in quotations and then you did the capital A and D, your next two didn't have quotations. Was that deliberate or not?
Yes.
Oh, just because it's one word?
Yes. When it's one word, you don't need to put quotes on. If you want to glom together two words, 3 words, like project management goes together, higher education goes together. Otherwise, it would be searched by higher and it would be searched by education. So you want to keep higher education together.
Okay, so as long as the words and, or, and not are separated by one word, so there's only one word in between them, then I don't need the, okay, got it. Thank you.
All right, and there you will find step-by-step directions in those 2 articles. I've written over 160 articles. So you'll see when I put my contact information, I have this publications list. It's a Google Doc. And even though it's all on our website in a Google Doc that you can view, you can also search by keyword. And, you know, so maybe with the titles, you'll find something that you need. Now, my article that's getting published out tomorrow is about job search strategies. So, you know, that'll also go in my LinkedIn newsletter online. So here's another thing, show your expertise. Write on LinkedIn, start publishing articles. And when you set yourself up as a content creator, I'll show you what that means, then eventually you'll get the authority to publish a, oh, that is a cool picture. Catches my attention. you will then get authority to publish a newsletter instead of just an article. So what content creator means is putting out 5 hashtags underneath your headline. And these are the hashtags that you would want to use when you are publishing a post. When you publish a post, you want to use 3 to 5 hashtags, but no more than 9. All right. And these are the typical hashtags that I would write about. You know, mainly it's LinkedIn tips, career education, you know, Great Careers PHL, that's the branded hashtag for our nonprofit, you know, an applicant tracking system. So just as an FYI, if you go down my profile, 16 experiences. Oh gosh, getting old here. All right. If you go to ATD, it says author applying to positions with Dick Bowles, author of What Colors Your Parachute. So I did write a chapter in this book called Find Your Fit, Practical Guide to Landing the Job You Love. There were 15 other career coaches from around the country that were part of writing chapters in this book. And Dick Bowles, the author of the very famous What Colors Your Parachute, that was published for like a half a century before he passed away in 2017, he wrote the foreword in this book. So I not only write pretty resumes, humans, but I deconstruct the resumes for applicant tracking systems so that you can make it through. You do not want a highly formatted resume when you're sending it through an applicant tracking system. So how do you figure that out? Well, let's go to applicant tracking system in our search bar. And I don't know when my next presentation is, but here is the article, How to Avoid the Applicant Tracking System Black Hole. You can read this in full, and I think there's something like 19 tips. So I believe in having a base resume for humans that's pretty with a little pop of color, and then a base resume that is just straight black and white, Arial 12-point font. And here's all these tips. And then when you analyze key job descriptions, you will pull out the keywords and flip them out to customize each and every resume that you're going to send out for a job application. Another job search tip. You want to customize your resumes. You can also take out key phrases. So let's talk about what that looks like. If I were to go to the jobs tab and I were to find a job that was data scientist, and I were to tab over, and I've already got Greater Philadelphia saved. So I'm gonna look, okay, BM Technologies and Radnor. Well, okay, KPMG, 2 applicants. Okay, that's early. 1 applicant, Top Toll, I don't know, PwC. All right, I got some connections at PwC. Exelon, I've got some connections at Exelon. That's in Newcastle. But let me go to something here that's closer to me. I'm in King of Prussia. So let me look at this BM Technologies one. Okay, now see how it has an easy apply button? If you don't have your LinkedIn profile optimized and you use that easy apply button, you know, you've maybe burned a potential opportunity. So you've got to get it optimized with all these keywords. But they really make it easy by doing this one. So let's just pull this one up for giggles anyway. And let's take a look at this. Now, I am a premium member, and look at this. Most common applicant skills. You can't see this if you have a free account, but Python programming language, R, Tableau, NumPy, Agile, you know, etc. So I take note of these keywords, and I want to make sure that I have this, you know, somewhere in my profile. because I want to be right in there with the other people. As you can see, I have 0 of 10. Me, Lynn, I have 0 of 10. I don't know any of these things. So I'm not a good applicant because my profile is not optimized with these keywords. Sometimes it does give salary information. But what I want to do is I'm going to take you to this little a platform which is free, and we're going to look at the keywords right here. So we're going to go to wordart.com, and I'm going to click. I already have my account established. It's free. You can establish an account with your Twitter, your Facebook, or Gmail. So I just did my Gmail. So I'm going to click the green Create Now button, and then I'm going to click the red Create button. Now I'm going to go back to the job, okay, and I'm going to copy and paste. I don't need this about BM Technologies. This is telling me about the company. I just need the job information. So, oh, wait a minute, that's their EEOC. Okay, we're going to start here, and we're going to go up. So right there, I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go into WordArt, and you see the top left, you got import. I'm going to click on import, and I'm going to paste. And here it says remove common words. I don't need a, and the. And then it says remove numbers. I don't need the numbers. But stemming, I want to uncheck stemming. If you don't know what stemming has to do with root words. So strategic is a root word of strategically. So we want to actually have matchy between job description and resume, and we don't want root words. So now I'm going to one click import words. In a nanosecond, it has told me data is used 10 times, business 6 times, skills 6 times, etc. Now, when I hit this red visualize button, boom, I'm going to get a word cloud in a nanosecond again that is going to give me a visual, data visual of what those keywords are that I need to pay attention to when I am customizing my resume. Now, if I go down on this little bar, it'll take me all the way down to the onesies, you know, analyzing the job. But I normally want to pay attention to the first and second page and take note of some of these words. The bad thing about it is that it doesn't keep data science or business analyst. They don't keep the 2 words or 3 words together. But, you know, hey, what the heck? It's free. You can't complain. So when you carefully read your job description, I copy and paste job descriptions and I put them in a Google Doc. And then I highlight them online. And then I put the link into the job description. So I'm going to give you a little scenario. Do you remember back in March 2020, we had this little thing happen called the pandemic, right? And all of a sudden the world stopped. So people stopped hiring because nobody knew what the heck was going on. So if you had applied to a job and a company was like on hold because we needed answers in as to what was going on in the world, then maybe they had enough job applicants. So when they started hiring 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, whatever later, they took the job offline. They weren't going to keep paying for it to be online advertised if they weren't hiring because we were in a weird world. So if you didn't keep a copy of that job description and they called you 2 months later and said, hey, you know, sorry, you know, we didn't get back to you because we didn't know what was going on in the world, but we're now ready to hire. Can you interview? We're going to start interviewing by Zoom. If you didn't keep a copy of that job description, how are you prepare for an interview if you don't know what they were looking for? So I always say copy and paste, and I just love Google Docs. So I'd make a folder for each company and put your resume that you customize, resume that you submit, the job description, etc., your cover letter, put it all in that folder. Always turn them into Word documents afterwards, but just make sure that you flip out the bullet points, turn them off and then turn them on again when you go from a Google Doc to a Word doc. Otherwise, you get these big, crazy bullet points that are kind of in your face. Now, I've got this information. So here we have skills, demonstrated experience. If I were to go back to the job description, and maybe I would say I have my verbiage in my resume, but here it says find patterns that will help find patterns. Okay, those are 2 words. Maybe somewhere I could weave those 2 words into my resume. Highly analytical. Okay, knack for analysis, math, and statistics. I wouldn't change the order of those. I know some people, I had a PhD who was coming unglued when I told her that she couldn't use paraphrasing. Like, you need to use the exact words that are in the job description, because you want that matchy. Is it a bad thing? Well, it's a bad thing if you copy and paste all these bullet points and put it right in. That's a problem. But if you weave in, if you had analytics or metrics, mathematics, and statistics in your resume, why don't you just change it so it says analysis, math, and statistics? And that way, that phrase that you weave in will match. Okay, do I have any questions so far?
I have a question.
Yep.
So my company has access to LinkedIn Learning courses. And so I started doing those, and I, share the final thing on my profile.
Excellent.
Do those matter? Is
Yes.
it too much? Is it, because,
No.
okay.
Look,
And are there,
learning is
is it bad to post, I don't know, courses that may not even be technically relevant to my current position or future position?
I don't know. It shows that you have an interest in lifelong learning. And I think that's what a lot of companies look for. Are you keeping fresh? Especially with technology, if you keep doing those courses and keep fresh on learning, I think that's a good thing. So I applaud that. Other questions? All right. I'm going to show you another thing on LinkedIn with regards to job search. And so I'm going to go back to that jobs tab. So right here, when I click on the jobs tab, there's going to be this little menu that pops up over on the left. Now, here's my jobs. So if you go and look at jobs on LinkedIn, like you treat your job search like an assembly line. You're going to go in and go data science, and you're going to look at all the jobs, and you're going to go save, and ignore, etc. Then after you've done all those saves, then you're going to go back in and carefully read each one. So that's the next part of the assembly line. Otherwise, if you go and do the job search and you come up with a job, then you detail it, then you go off to the company website, and then you apply and whatnot, you've spent that whole time just doing one job, and you've gone down a rabbit hole. So treat your research and your search as one activity, then go back and start culling the list and decide who we're going to actually apply to. And then the next step, actually start going to apply one by one as you get them banged out. Now, you can set up job alerts on LinkedIn. So right now, it doesn't show that I have any job alerts, but if I'm executive director, career consultant, etc., I could set up those jobs for myself. So data scientist, you can pinpoint it by, Newark, Delaware, or Cherry Hill, New Jersey, or Philadelphia, or whatever it may be. Now, salary, you may not have access to for a free account. You can do skills assessment. So if you are Python or R or Panda, I mean, they may have some skills assessments in there so that you can show you're more highly qualified. I've never taken any of those because, again, I'm not looking for a job. But here's a really cool button here is interview prep. So check that out. But there's a lot more on interview prep. So if you go to the Great Careers website, to resources, and you go to interview resources, you will see there's a general paragraph. Here's an article that I wrote on interview preparation resources. There are actually some free platforms in here where you can do a video interview, have it record yourself, and then you can watch it back and you can go, ooh, you know, what was that facial expression I did? Or I wasn't looking, you know, at the camera. Then the gentleman who actually does run our interview workshop on Fridays, he just wrote this article, 10 pandemic interview questions. He has behavioral interview questions, top 10 interview questions, a tip. So this is Les Zagarnik. Now, let's say you can't make it on a Friday live. So part 1, part 2, part 3, these are the videos that he puts together. What we typically do is we play a video, then answer Q&A live, play a video, Q&A, play a video, Q&A. He just called me right before this meeting started. And unfortunately, he got that little thing that starts with a C, ends in a D, and got a V in the middle. So he is not running his workshop tomorrow. I guess I am. I don't know that I can do as good a job as he does. But when he does come back, when he's feeling better, he actually does offer to do free mock interviews with people if they show up on a Friday. So that is your incentive to come in person. But, you know, I'm not sure that you want to come tomorrow without him. So I don't know how long he's going to, you know, not be feeling well, but we also have a job board, and it's not very big. We're not trying to compete with, you know, Indeed or Monster or LinkedIn or anything like that. It's people locally who do send us jobs, and we do, you know, post them on here. One of our former board of directors is with Vanguard Charitable Trust, so she sent me a bunch of jobs. And you know, there's other people that have asked. And there's no data science jobs right now, but also on this connect button, you will find all of our social media. So go ahead and you know, connect and whatever to anything that you're on. The most thing that I would be most appreciative of, I've spent you know, almost a couple hours here tonight. If you could give our YouTube channel a subscribe, we need 100 people before we can customize it. And that would be a big thank you to me. I want to customize it. We're not really big in video, but I do put a weekly video out as far as, you know, what our, you know, upcoming events are. And that video is also on my featured section of my LinkedIn. So I'll show you where that is. And then I'm going to put some links in the chat and take some questions. And maybe you want to do some quick elevator pitches or something to wind up rather than have me talk. And so give me a second here. Get my featured section. So here's the video that I put out every weekend that highlights the upcoming speakers for the week. And then every Friday I do, or Saturday, I do put an article out on Friday. So this is the LinkedIn newsletter. And you can see I have 4,200 subscribers. And this is a total different audience than my blog, and then Vista.today, Buxco.today, Montco.today, or Delco.today. So, I put it out on all my platforms. So if you've got expertise and you can write, then, by all means, start writing articles, and then, you'll progress to newsletters when you've got that creator mode turned on. Now, how do you make all those graphics and banners for LinkedIn? You're going to use canva.com. You can have a free account, and there's a whole bunch of LinkedIn templates that are available for free, and others that you may have to pay for if you don't have a pro account or you want to buy them on a 1-by-1. But if I typed in LinkedIn, you can customize the banners. Okay, LinkedIn banners. So your LinkedIn banner is 1584 by 396, and look at all these templates that you can take. You can make a copy, and then you can tweak away in the colors and words and whatnot that you want to do. So let me put a couple links into the chat, and I'll explain what these are. So this is a okay, hold on 1 second. Here's a little tip sheet that I'm going to share with you. And just so you know, I couldn't look at any of your comments when I was presenting, because it takes over my screen. So there's a tip sheet, and those are all the areas that I went over on people's LinkedIn profiles. And at the bottom of the first page, you'll see profile review comments. And so those are the 2 profiles that I reviewed, and I put a couple comments in. And then there's another column of an article that I wrote that relates to more learning that you could do. And then on the second page, I have a few job search strategies, actually like 16 of them. And I put some articles linked in that too. So you can kind of review that at your leisure. But I wanted to at least show you some tips for your job search on LinkedIn. Now, the last thing I'm going to put in the contact, and then I'm going to shut up, is my contact information. I love Linktree. Linktree is a link of links. And so I have a personal Linktree, a nonprofit Linktree, and there's my LinkedIn URL. So hopefully this has brought some value to you tonight, and you can make some changes. And, you said keep going. So I went. But maybe everybody wants to do, a really quick introduction. At least put your LinkedIn URL in the chat, and make sure you've got the https://www so that people can get that hyperlinked. This is Lynn. I'm done speaking.
Thanks, Lynn. That was awesome.
All right.
There were a couple questions in the chat that I wanted to call out real fast too.
Yeah.
The first one was, does the amount of time from a job posting matter? Like, how much stake do you put into that? Is the first couple of days really that important?
I'm going to say that, if you are an early applicant, that is more beneficial than being a late applicant, according to what I've heard from some recruiters. I'm not a recruiter, so I can't exactly precisely answer that, but that's what I've heard. So be early.
Hi. I think that there was a question earlier about the featured section, but I think I'm thinking of it in the same vein. You did something about where you said that when you copy and paste in LinkedIn, where you should not copy or paste exactly what you said in your profile, but there are 3 keywords that you highlight, which was math, statistics, and data, I think was that purely for search purposes or can,
No, that's when you're customizing a resume to that particular job. You want matchy of the keywords and key phrases in the job. So you weave that into your resume that you're customizing for that particular job from wordart.com.
okay.
Other questions?
Yes, I had a question. Could you cover how to activate the featured section on the profile?
You don't activate it per se. When you make a post, in the top right-hand corner, you're going to see 3 little dots. And when you click on those 3 dots, you're going to add to featured section, and it'll kind of automatically create it. Now, when you want to take that particular post off your featured section, then you're going to click the 3 little dots and click on remove from featured. So it's not a creating it, it's just like taking something and putting it up there. And you could even do that temporarily, just make a post, you know, and then, you know, your next post, just put it up there.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hi, Lynn. This is great. I have a question. I mean,
Sure.
would you, you know, obviously for people who are looking for a job, LinkedIn is beneficial. You know, it certainly helped me get a job one time. But if you're not looking for a job, do you still advise people to be active on LinkedIn? Because
Oh my God, yes.
because last year I used LinkedIn for a couple of years, and I just got really frustrated with like the, you know, with like the self promotion and like the like just like a barrage of posts from people I haven't seen in like years that they keep posting on LinkedIn, and I really don't know this person, but I still see their posts, and so for those reasons I actually deleted LinkedIn.
Oh, that's not a good idea.
Oh,
No.
really? Okay.
Yeah, no. Your goal is to keep building your networking connections. You're not going to stay in your present job, you know, forever.
Of
I
course.
can tell you that. You know, if you look at the statistics, we changed jobs, what, 14 times or something in our life. So you need to keep networking, and you need to keep your network alive. When you land a job, you need to keep networking. You need to keep coming to meetings like this and keep your network alive. You know, you may not have a lot of time, you may be exhausted, but don't stop networking, like stop cold. Don't ever do that. It will be, you know, fatal, you know, for potential career moves. Always keep meeting people and building your LinkedIn profile and your network.
Oh,
Now, you can train your feed though. You can always click on, you know, like, I don't want to see posts like this, but you know, you can go in and post, and you can look for hashtags of
Yeah.
articles that you do want to read and add hashtags so that you follow things that are of interest to you.
Like I want to follow up with a question, like how do you
Sure.
protect your like mental health on LinkedIn, you know, like when you're always seeing like the highlights from other people. I don't know if it's me, but like, you know, when you're seeing the highlights from other people, how do you just protect your mental health when you're on LinkedIn? I don't know if other people experience that, but I've had issues with that before in the past. Yeah.
So it depends on, you know, what you are experiencing.
Yeah.
You know, I am the mother of an autistic neurodivergent adult child. And, you know, I understand mental health. I have a virtual assistant who, you know, has a various diagnosis. And I'm very, you know, appreciative and wary of that. There's a lot of people on LinkedIn that put a lot of vulnerable stuff on. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't talk
Okay.
about suicide and depression and alcoholism and drug addiction. Like, if you're young and you're trying to stay employed, there's a digital footprint out there on you. So always keep everything positive and optimistic. What would you put up there that would that your grandma would be proud of? And if you need to take a mental health break from LinkedIn, then you need to do what you need to do. But you know, if you've got 5 or 10 minutes a day and you can engage on, you know, somebody's post or read something or write something and post it yourself, you know, or invite people, you know, everybody has to do what's right and comfortable for them. So you just work at the pace that works for you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Any other questions? Anybody want to do like quick 30-second introductions? Like really quick whip around? Or are you going to end the room?
I have a question.
Sure.
So I took a break from working because of health condition, and I was in health provider industry, and it's, as you know, pretty physical. And then I am switching to tech career that will allow me to work from home. And I'm wondering if I should start like a blog that has, and then have like articles, like me write articles about like different evaluations that shows my knowledge a little more on the subject. And also,
only if it's going to relate to your future forward.
Yes, it's and I'm wondering how I want to explain my work gap.
Okay, so there's something recently that came out on LinkedIn called career breaks. So I like the word sabbatical. So if you took a personal sabbatical, for, you don't have to explain that it was health related. It could have been you just personal sabbatical. But there is a thing on LinkedIn, and let me find my article, and I'll pop that in the chat. Career breaks. Career break. So, you know, this only came out in March. Like this is fresh from LinkedIn. But before that, I was working on using sabbatical. So I'm going to get a second article. Whoops, here's the chat. Here's the career breaks article. And then I've got one on gaps that talks about sabbatical. And that was before this career break thing came out. Here we go. Here's the second article. All right. So read those and maybe you'll get some inspo.
Oh, thank you so much.
Sure thing. Two hours flies by, doesn't it? All right. Well, Chris, you want to, or Rama, you want to come back and do you want people to do a quick introduction, or you want to wrap up? You tell me.
Yeah, just waiting to see if people had any more questions. A lot of questions coming, so we're just giving a couple of minutes for people if there are any other questions.
Sure. So just because I network like numerous times a week, you will always find me. And if you hang out at the meetings that I hang out at, especially at the Great Careers Group, you know, feel free to ask me questions. As I said, I will be running the interview prep workshop tomorrow from 9 to 11. And then at 11 o'clock, I will be running my Clubhouse room. And I have a guest who's normally from the UK, but she's in New Zealand. So we get people from around the world, you know, on the Clubhouse room. So.
Okay. Looks like there are no more questions or anything. Given that it is 8 o'clock, otherwise we would just really love to hear from everyone. But I think everybody has already shared their LinkedIn profiles, everything. So there's been a lot of introduction going on. And actually, I should say this is one of been the most active chat session that's going on without it being too many questions, you know. So I would say, given that it's 8 o'clock, we will end it. And but we won't end it before thanking you, Lynn. Lynn, this was amazing. The amount of information that you have shared, the tips you have given is just amazing. Not only for people who are job searching, I think, but for everyone else too, right? So it is really.
Oh, absolutely. Got to manage your career if you're employed. Still got to manage your career.
Absolutely, absolutely. We need to manage that. So with all of that, it's like a super, super helpful information. So thank you so much for it. Thank you for
All
making
right.
the time. I know how busy you are, but really appreciate you taking the time to share all your tips and knowledge, everything with
Sure.
us. We really enjoyed
Well,
it. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, and hopefully we'll see some of you again.
Sure. Okay.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
Don't forget to save the chat. You want to click on the 3 little dots in the bottom right, and then hopefully it'll pop up after the meeting ends. And if it doesn't, I have saved the chat. You can always email me. Just go to my LinkedIn profile, bottom of the about section or contact section if we're not connected, and you will find my email and I will send it to you.
Absolutely.
How do you save the chat? Sorry.
Down in the bottom right hand corner of the chat, there's 3 little
Mhm.
dots, and you
Mhm.
click save chat, and mine comes up as like meeting_text or something. I have a Mac, so it kind of like pops up in my face after the meeting is ended. I don't know if you got a PC. I don't do PCs, so I don't know how that.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll
Thank you.
also I saved the chat. So what I've done for prior events that have had a lot of links being shared is I just kind of compile everything that was shared and put it into one post on our Slack instance.
Okay.
So for people who were not able to stay until the very end, they can still see those resources that were shared.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you,
All
and good
right.
night, everyone.
All right.
night,
Take
thank you.
care, everyone. All
Bye-bye.
right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Thanks, Lynn.